All right, what's up, guys? So here's one of the biggest issues facing the contracting industry right now, and that is hiring good employees, right? What it all comes down to is there's a holistic approach to this, and there's a reason why larger companies have the ability to hire great people, and it's not because they have a larger marketing budget or a recruiting budget, excuse me. It's not because of like the dollar side of it. It's realistically because A, they know how to create a brand that people are attracted to, and B, they know how to properly train and onboard employees, right? Those are two very different things. One is attracting an employee, and one is then retaining that employee. So make sure that we separate those two, because some people have no problem attracting employees, but then they have a very low retention rate, and others, they can't really find anybody good, but once they bring them in, they're such a good leader that they can then keep them forever and ever and ever. So what we're going to do here is we're going to walk through exactly using this piece of paper, which you'll have on a different screen right there, with my boy Chris right here. That's Chris. Chris, say hey.
Hey.
That's enough. And we're going to show you exactly how to make sure that you're not only attracting the right employees, but also we're then going to go through the retention side of things. We run a marketing and sales company for contractors, so you're going to think like, well, these aren't contractors, what do they know? It's the same in every single business, I promise you that. Some people are just way better at it than others. So, ready to jump in?
Yep, and I think that's really cool that we're going to go ahead and use our RPM method so we can talk about exactly a good pathway to understanding how to solve a problem.
Yep, beautiful. And when he says our method, it's not necessarily ours. We both have a coach that walks through this stuff, but RPM stands for results, purpose, massive action. So we'll walk through it all together. So what we want to do is we're going to draw out a nice little T. And when I say T, a double T. Right in the middle. Result. Purpose. Massive action. And the reason that we create this is because a lot of times when we know the result that we want to get, we need to make sure that there's an actual anchor behind it, right? So let's say you want to do $1 million in the business this year. If you don't know what the $1 million is going to bring you, how it's going to affect your family, all that stuff, then you're not really going to push for it. It's going to be more of a nice to have, but at the end of the day, you're not really going to step outside your comfort zone to really push for that.
At that point, it pretty much becomes a wish.
Yeah.
Because the reality is you have to be able to anchor it to something. And when we say an anchor, what we mean is, very much a purpose. What's the reason behind it? If I say I want to be $1 million company, what is that anchored to? Is that just because a status symbol? Is that because it's going to put a certain amount of money in my pocket? What is that anchored to? And be able to take my family on a certain amount of vacations. So let's kind of talk about that.
So we got result, which is what we end up wanting. We have purpose, which is that anchor. And then the last bit is massive action, meaning what are the actual items, they're the action steps that will get us to the result so we can live out that purpose. So, ready to jump in?
Let's get it.
All right, so the result is, let's just say, hire amazing employee. All right, so that's the result that we want, that we can all agree with, and if you're watching this video, you're most likely looking for that. Now, this is where most people stop, is they say, well, I want to hire somebody, and what they do is they don't realize what the purpose really is to the company, so they kind of half-ass it along the way. I see more business owners saying, where are you finding your employees? Are you using Craigslist? Are you using local Facebook boards? Which is really step 3, right? Before that, you need to understand, one, how to attract the right person just in general, or do you have a good job offer? Because I see a lot of people saying, well, I pay them $10 to $12 an hour, which is above industry standard. And it's like, yeah, but humans don't like change, right? So even if you're paying somebody more than somebody else, maybe by a couple bucks an hour, unless that person is very money motivated and that's all they really care about, it's all coming really down to culture.
Yeah.
Do you have the right culture that can essentially poach somebody from another company that knows what they're doing over to your own business? Because again, humans do not naturally like change. We love to stay in our comfort zone. Even if we know that the best thing for us is to move to something else, there needs to be a catalyst or something that will push us over the edge. So a lot of people just stop right there. They don't think about, is this an attractive job, right? Am I a good leader? Would I want to work for myself, right? Is this pay enough, right? I see a lot of people that they want their employee to do everything, be available nights and weekends, can lift 150 pounds over their head. They can talk to customers. They can be reliable. They provide their own transportation, and we're willing to pay $9 an hour, which is like, where are you going to find that?
Exactly. And what I like to do is I like to circle that result because that's the bullseye. That's what we're going towards. And I think it's super important to remember all of this is for that end result.
Okay, so Chris, let's walk through the purpose. What is the reason and the effect of being able to hire an amazing employee?
And I think there's a number of reasons, but first thing that comes to mind is, okay, now if I have an awesome employee, then I can guarantee that the work's being done.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Also, it's going to build into my system.
In what way?
And by that I mean pretty much if I have an awesome employee, then I'm going to be able to have someone I can rely on, and maybe that's a better way to say it. Someone that's reliable, for my system. All right. What are your thoughts? What do you?
Yeah. So guaranteed work gets done. Reliability. Excuse me. And when you hire an amazing employee, it builds company culture.
Yep. That one employee is going to be able to, rub off on everybody else as well.
Yeah.
And it's a good culture fit as well. So if you don't have certain things in place, you're going to recognize, well, hey, in order to keep this rock star here, I got to have certain things in place.
And I've seen it. So my dad's a contractor, and I've watched it with his companies where he would bring somebody in. They were a good worker, but they weren't a good culture fit. Right, what he was looking for is A players that could communicate well. They could do all these things. Essentially, there's somebody who would normally go into not a blue collar job. Maybe like most of the people that he works or he has on staff, they're all college educated, which really doesn't mean anything, to be honest. But it just if you want to call it that way, then that's what he does. But it's people that are able to communicate well, that they could have gone into sales, but they decided to become a laborer at a pond company, which, if you think about it, somebody who's like good at communicating with customers, knows how to upsell, knows how to keep their shit in line, that's typically not somebody who's going to want to come out and work for $9 an hour. That's somebody who's going to want to go get a job that's going to pay them what they feel that they're worth. And if you're not able to match what they're going to make at another company, then you need to essentially have such an amazing culture there that they're willing to sacrifice the money for this. It's kind of like, Tom Brady. That dude's won so many Super Bowls, and all these other quarterbacks are like, I don't get why I can't win like Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady sacrifices his salary, and he takes a pay cut to be able to attract the players around him, and that's why he wins. So that's why these really high-paid quarterbacks are not winning Super Bowls, because they don't have the full ensemble of the team around them. They're so focused on themselves that they're stuck. So if you can build a culture that everybody wants to come to, it's going to be much easier to attract those people away from maybe more white-collar jobs or from other businesses. So having an amazing employee will also help you build that company culture in the right way. Another big purpose is when you have more labor, you can do more work, which means more money.
Yep. And I think that is, in the grand scheme of things, that all things lead back to the money situation. And it shouldn't be this negative idea of, oh, it's money driven, but recognizing that when you have more money, when you have higher profits, when you doing overall higher grosses with more income coming in, you're gonna be able to solve a lot of those problems. You're gonna be able to recruit, maintain, and keep skilled employees on, and be able to hold them to a high standard. If you offer a lot of money, the reality is you're going to hold them to a standard that's applicable to that amount of money.
Okay, so if we keep on building from there, we have more revenue generated. That is more money in our pocket as the business owner, but also more money that we can reinvest into the company.
Yep.
So we're going to put more
dollar signs,
personal income, more
business income.
Yeah, let's say investable income. How about that?
Yeah, I like that.
So now, as we start to really understand the full effect of having an amazing employee in there, we start off with, yeah, we just guarantee the work gets done because they're reliable, but it also helps build the company culture, which also then, keep driving down that with a good culture. You're able to get stuff done faster and generate more revenue. When you generate more revenue, it's this huge snowball effect. You get more personal income, but also you can invest that back into, let's say, more marketing, more leads, more, building more people on the team, hiring salesmen, which now you as an owner operator, you don't have to sell anymore. You can have somebody who's trained in this, that's good at this stuff, because in reality, like as a business owner, you definitely need to know how to sell and do all this stuff. But once you're able to hire a salesman, like once you get large enough where that's a capability where their entire role is predicated on selling, that's when the business will really take off, because you have somebody whose full-time job is to prospect and sell. And when you do that, then for you, all you have to do is worry about hiring more of these amazing employees. But guess what? Because you're making more money, you're able to pay them more, which means it's easier to pull them away from either other businesses or get kids that are coming out of high school or college that are really motivated, but you're able to actually pay them a higher entry-level salary, which again skyrockets it even more.
And I think one thing that we don't want to gloss over is the idea that you're now going to have an ease of mind. Because if you have an awesome employee, then you can be able to give them certain responsibilities, not have to worry about them being reliable and things like that. So you're going to be able to have ease of mind overall.
Yeah, because I think with a lot of, especially just watching like my dad's company, watching other contracting companies, there's this phrase of, well, they're good when they're here, which means that when they show up for work, they're amazing. But I remember there was a guy that worked for my dad for a while that he drank. So he would once every couple weeks, maybe once every week and a half, he would call in sick, but in reality that just meant he was too hungover to come into work. Amazing when he was there, but that starts to throw a wrench into everything, and it sucks because as business owners, we love control. That's why we started our own business, and to now have somebody who's calling in and out all the time, it sucks.
Yeah.
It totally sucks. So now that we understand the purpose behind why we need an amazing employee, let's talk about the action steps.
Yep, and it's super important that we operate in this way. First, understanding what the overall result is, anchoring it down, and now then transitioning to what massive actions we need to take in order for that to actually become a reality.
Yep. So first massive action. A lot of times, the reason that one of the biggest just basic issues with contractors and hiring is they don't actually specify what the role is. They don't identify exactly what you need somebody for. They just say, hey, I want somebody that can come in and help, right? So it's too vague on job description.
All right, so the massive action would be what?
Identifying exact, I'm just going to, A-C-T. I was gonna put it, I don't know why it's EXT, whatever. Identify the exact day to day.
You're talking about the role, correct?
Of the role, yes, because a lot of times, well, it's a small business, we wear so many hats, and that's fine, but we need to get that out of the way. We need to let people know that because it's too vague. Oh, I need a lead carpenter. Okay, great. Well, what are you going to be doing? Well, a lead carpenter knows what they're going to be doing. Yeah, but what employees like is they like stability. Business owners want control and independence. Employees want support and stability. So the more that you can say, hey, this is how you're going to be stable within this role, which is identifying the unknown factors up front, the better off you're going to be. I see a lot of terrible job descriptions where it's just somebody, they don't use proper English, they do it all in full caps, they go on Craigslist, and typically somebody who's on Craigslist looking for a role is not somebody who's higher end. You don't have to go to LinkedIn, but you need to be able to essentially look more professional, because when you look professional, you're going to hire professionals. But when you look amateur, you're going to hire amateurs.
Yep, and it's really easy, it's really transferable. It's simply, if you're going to work for Nike, or going to work for Google, there's a certain bit of, not necessarily ego, but a certain bit of self-esteem that you have to think that I qualify for this type of company.
It's a status.
Yep.
When people say, that's the issue, is they say, well, millennials don't want to work. Well, if you said you get to work at Rick's Plumbing versus Facebook, think about it. Like, everybody loves status. Like, no matter who you are, that is one of the basic needs of humans, is being recognized for certain things. So working at Rick's Plumbing is not going to have the same wow factor as, yeah, I work for Facebook. So even if Rick's Plumbing pays the same as Facebook, there is that status piece with it. Facebook is, their whole motto is, we're going to change the world. Rick's Plumbing is like, we're going to change your pipes. So it's this whole feeling of community is a huge aspect of it. And if you can't corner that, then it's going to be tough to attract the right people that you want.
And let's also plug this real quick. Rick's Plumbing can have a huge change as well. Like, they can provide transformational value, but you have to make sure that you position it in that way. If you simply just see yourself as a plumber who's putting down pipes, fixing some joints once in a while, using some plumber's tape, then you miss the boat. So if you understand the real value that you provide, that's going to help out as well with your brand.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Next thing is what the last word Chris has said, brand. You need to have a brand that people want to come work with, right? If I asked you right now, plumbing, name the biggest plumber out there, most of you guys would say Ben Franklin Plumbing, because they have a brand and they don't struggle as much with employees, and they have so many employees, but everybody knows about them. They're a reputable company. They're going to be way more, remember, employees like stability. It's easier to have stable amount of work with a larger company versus, let's take the small small business contractor. It's hit or miss, right? Because there is no brand. It's tough to have consistency of work coming in. Even if right now you're crazy slammed, there's still going to be an off season, right? Which a lot of the larger companies, they are able to deal with that.
Yeah, they diversify what they do, or they understand exactly what's going on to be able to navigate that off season. And recognizing brand is so important. We all understand it. If we talk about the quicker picker upper, it's Bounty. We talk about Just Do It, it's Nike. We all understand the value of brand, but being able to associate that in our own business is sometimes where it drops off.
Big time, because when you can build the brand, you're going to attract the right people, because again, they want stability. Nobody wants to go work for somebody else in a place where there's shitty culture and the work's not guaranteed, because if the work's not guaranteed, then the contractor is going to essentially say, I don't have any work for you, come back in 3 weeks. Well, the employees also have families to feed. So when you don't have stability in work, then you're not going to attract anybody. And when you actually have a brand that people know and they trust that you'll be able to fulfill paying them, making payroll, stuff like that, that's when you're going to attract more people. And even if you've never missed payroll ever, if you don't have a strong enough brand, people don't know that. And it's not enough to put in your job description, we don't miss payroll, because you're going to get beat out by a Ben Franklin plumber or a Mr. Sparky or some other larger, window world, like, hiring those installers and stuff. So you're going to lose to those people. So you need to make sure that you actually have a brand tied with everything that you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the last piece of a lot of this is very easy, is revenue generation, aka leads, right? Generate profitable work.
And I think it's super important to distinguish between the idea of just having a lead and profitable work.
Yep.
Right? Because candidly, if you want more leads, go use a lead generation site. Go spend all that money on crappy or non-qualified leads. So making sure that these are leads that are actually going to generate revenue that help you accomplish that overall goal.
Because let's just go back to this, right? Generate profitable work. We talk to people that are like, oh, I'm so busy right now that just my estimation time is weeks out. Well, typically when that's the case, if you're still out doing tons of proposals and you can't even get an estimate out to somebody for 3 weeks, they're most likely going to go with somebody else, because it's just 2021, right? Like, we don't like to wait. Yeah. Amazon has 2-day shipping for a reason. There's no way I'm waiting 4 days for something to ship to me. I want it here in 2 days. Well, if somebody can't even get me an estimate in 3 weeks, by the time that they're able to come out here and actually do the work, it's going to be months. And maybe if it's like a massive custom home, that's one thing. But if it's a smaller project, I'm not willing to wait for that, quote unquote, as a homeowner. And then, what you're doing is by forcing people to wait just to get an estimate, right? Because that's the problem here, is if you're able to tell people up front, hey, look, this is like this is what this stuff costs, ballpark figures, that's going to weed a lot of the low-end people out, and you're only going to get brought the people that are high end. And when that's the case, you're way more motivated. I mean, at least I think I am. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if everybody that came to me that was like, hey, I know your pricing, I'm good with all that, let's get started, I'm going to get estimates out much faster because now I know that they're going to go forward. But what sucks is when I have to write out all these estimates and proposals for people that I don't know if they're even going to respond.
Yeah, you feel like you're maybe writing up these estimates in vain.
Correct.
And so the reality is, if you're able to now weed out people who are not your ideal client, then I want to pay your price, whatever it may be, then you're going to be able to spend that quality time taking care and nurturing the people who actually do fall within your left and right limit.
So weed out tire kickers, right? And again, when you have profitable work that you're able to generate consistently, that's when you can always make sure that you pay your crew. That's when you can invest into fun things like having like a team bonding day, or getting breakfast for the team, or randomly surprising them with bonuses when you guys are crushing it. And that builds culture, that attracts other winners to your team. So to kind of recap everything here, it's not just how do I hire a good employee? I have a problem with labor. There's a labor shortage. That's not really the problem, guys. Yes, I understand that there is maybe a labor shortage right now, but it's the fact that your job is not attractive enough to either A, get somebody who's entry level that is a winner in the door, or B, poach them from somebody else, whether it's not enough money, it's not a good culture fit, whatever it is. It's not that you're looking on the wrong sites per se. It's typically you have to self-audit your position. So when you want to, let's just kind of reverse it all. Massive action. Make sure you identify the exact day-to-day of what they need to be doing. You need to also build your brand, because a stronger brand not only attracts more customers, it also attracts better employees. You need to generate profitable work so we can make sure that we're always making payroll, always able to pay top dollar for top people. A players should get paid A salaries. Remember that. And we also need to be weeding out the tire kickers, because if we're wasting our time, we're losing these high-end leads that are coming in, because we don't know if they're going to be a high-end lead or if they're going to be a crap lead, because we've done nothing to filter them out on the back end. And when we can nail those, that's when we're way more profitable in the business, and we have way more time to focus on hiring this amazing employee. And when we hire this amazing employee, that's when jobs get done reliably and quickly. That's when the company culture is amazing. That's when we start to then, it's a snowball effect, generate more revenue, which means more money in our own pockets, which means that it's more money for us to invest back into the business, so the business becomes more and more self-sustainable. Not all the pressure and effort falls on your shoulders.
That's 100% correct. So I think that knowing exactly what actions you need to take in order to get the results that you want, starting there is so much more productive than just thinking to myself, where do I find amazing employees?
Yeah.
Because if there are amazing employees that are out there, but you can't secure them, then what's the purpose?
If we flip it real fast, think of your customers, right? This is no different. Result is attract amazing prospects. Guess what? Better work. You get to now, get more money in the door, which builds culture, which makes more money in your pocket. All this stuff. How do you do it? You get, you're not vague on the actual, why you do what you do. You're not vague on how you actually help people and what your main value is. You're very specific. How do you do that? Get more at that. You build the brand, right? Now you're able to weed out tire kickers. So it's funny that we pass the buck. We all just say, well, there's not enough good people out there. That's not really the case.
Well, because some companies are getting the good people.
And how are they doing it?
Yep, they have a brand that's worthwhile, working for.
They're doing all the right stuff. So guys, self-audit this stuff, hiring good people. If you think about it, you spend most likely more time with your employees than you do with your own spouse. And if you were to look for a spouse, the same way that you would look for your employee right now, you'd probably still be single. Right or wrong?
That's true.
All right. Thank you very much. Make sure you get this stuff done. One of the easiest things to do to start off with is 1, build that brand. Make sure that this is a company that whenever somebody sees it, they go, damn, I want to work for them. 2, generate profitable work by weeding out the tire kicker so that you're only spending time on the right people. And then 3, being very specific on exactly what they're going to be doing day to day. That will attract the right people, and that will get you all of the things that you actually want out of this business. Thank you very much.